Hey, hi students. How are you all? Today we are going to start second lesson of political science, that is federalism. In this lesson, we will understand what do you mean by federalism. When we say that this country is a federal country, India is a federal country, what features are there which make India as a federal country? So when we say federal, then what does exactly we mean? That we will try to understand in this lesson. Then we will talk about the key features of federalism. Then we will talk how the federalism is good or bad for any nation. Then we will see which country follow the federalism, and then we'll talk about which things are there that decide that India is a federal country. So all these things we are going to discuss in this lesson. So you can see the picture on my screen. From screen only you will come to know what exactly the federalism means. In this, national and state, what but governments, national government and state governments, they are shaking their hands. Okay, so when they shake their hands, they are sharing something. So what do they share? How do they share? And what is the necessity of sharing? That we are going to discuss in this lesson. So let's begin. In this lesson, we are going to study all these things: linguistic states in India, then list system, what it is, center-state relations, language policy, decentralization, then different tier system. All these things we are going to discuss in details. So don't worry about it. Okay, so it is just an overview of our lesson. Then salient features of federalism: it promotes unity, accommodates diversity. Then there is a multi-levels of government, and each level has its own jurisdiction. Okay, so let's discuss about it in details now. First, federal system of government. What is the definition? Power is shared between the central government and state government. That is the definition of federal system of government. Okay, so here you can see arrows are there, and those arrows are pointing towards state government and central government. So central government is strong and it gives some powers to the state so that the states also will be strengthened. Okay, so it is very easy to understand that in federalism power is shared. Which kind of power? Political power or government power. Then right side you can see two circles are there. In these two circles, powers of the central governments are given. That is, which are the powers of central government? To create post offices, to declare war against any nation, or all the issues, all the decisions regarding currency, regarding banking, regarding railway, then our defense system, nuclear system, all atomic projects, and foreign affairs. So all these things, they come in the hands of central government. Then powers of the state government. So public schools, then you can see the police department, all the rules and regulations related to that, it is the duty of state government to make. And then in between, shared powers, that is tax the people, means state government, they have their own taxes, and central government, they have their own taxes. But now we have brought GST, goods and service tax, everywhere it is same. So there are some departments where we can make such a laws where state government and central government, they both will make the laws. But just imagine, if there is a conflict about the thought, then whose thought will be taken into consideration? Whose thought will be valid? So when there is a conflict between the thoughts and suggestions of state and central government, then the decision of central government will prevail. Now let's take one example. Just now, before few days, central government has launched new, that is NNEP, new National Education Policy. Many new articles and provisions and recommendations are there in that policy. Means entire system of our education system, it is going to change. Okay, so suppose if any state government, as the education falls in concurrent list, that is shared powers, so it is the right of state government also to raise any point against it or for it on behalf of it. So if any state government does not like any point of this NNEP, then they can raise their point. But finally, the decision of the central government will be taken into consideration. Okay. So in this way, this is the relation between state government and central government. We are going to discuss about in details again. So the central government is usually stronger than the state governments, but there are some powers the states have that the central government does not have. Okay. So as I told you, there are some points related to police department. Police department is just bound to the state. So every state has their own police department. Maharashtra, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, they all have their own police departments. So here, central government can't make any rule regarding police department. Clear? In this way, United States, India, Canada, Germany, Mexico, all these countries and many more than that, they follow federalism in their country. Here is the definition of federalism. Federalism is a system of government in which the power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units of the country. Okay. Here you can see these many countries are there, those who follow the federalism. So the countries which are in red in color, they're all federal countries. If you start with America, Canada, United States of America, full America, they are following federalism in their country. Then Brazil, South America. Then if you come to Europe, Germany, Belgium, Switzerland, Spain. In England, there is a constitutional monarchy. Ethiopia, Nigeria, South Africa, then India, Afghanistan, then Russia, Australia. Means almost 70% or more than that, the people, they are following federalism. Greenland is there, which is not following federalism. China, no federalism. Okay. So in Africa also, there are many states, those who are not following federalism. But if you want to accommodate, if you want to control such a big countries, then you have to follow federalism. Otherwise, there will be discomfort among the people. How's that? We'll see afterwards. Now, we will distinguish between federal government and unitary government. So first of all, we'll talk about unitary government. In unitary government, all the power rests with the union government. They make all laws. Only one level of government, that is central government, national government. Second, political power is completely held by the central government only. So whatever rules and regulations are made by them, all the country, all the states, they have to follow that. Then constitution is flexible, means the ruler of that country, or we can say the governance lies with the political party or any person. For him, the constitution is very flexible. According to his convenience, he can change the rules and regulations of constitution very easily. Okay, so it's very flexible and it is uncodified, means in certain words, in certain articles, or in a certain system, the rules and regulations are not written. There are no codes for that. Uncodified. Why this is so? Because the ruler can change the rules and regulation as per his convenience. We have seen in last year, means in 9th standard, in politics, in China, in Pakistan, how they change the system. Zimbabwe, how they change the constitution as per their convenience. Then only one set of law, means whatever central law is there, all the states, they have to follow. Throughout the country it is followed. Okay, so in this way, this is what about the unitary government. Now let's go to federal government. What is federal government? In federal government, there are two levels: central government, state level, state government. But if the country is a big like India, then you can bring third tier also. We have brought in our India. Which is that third tier? That is Panchayati Raj. Panchayat will be there. So when we talk about Panchayat, it's not only Gram Panchayat. there are some branches again. Which will be that we'll see. We are going to give one special lecture for that. So we'll see it afterwards. So Panchayat Raj, third tier. Then political powers are shared. As I told you in my last slide, how the powers are shared, where the state government will make the law and where the central government will make the law. In federal government, constitution is so much rigid and it is not easy to change them as per your convenience. There is a certain procedure for that, and that by that only you have to go. And it is codified in certain words. Means in movies you might have seen, when they talk in the code, there is a specific article, specific language for that, and in that only they have to speak. Okay. And then there are two different types of law: central law, state law. Okay. Now we'll talk about the key features of federalism, very important part of the lesson. चलो, तो पहला है अपना 2 or more levels of the government. इसमें एक बात आपको समझ में आएगी कि फेडरलिज्म में 2 लेवल्स होंगे. ये तो हमने पहले देख लिया है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट. देन सेकंड, each tier has its own jurisdiction in specific matters of legislation, taxation and administration, and it is constitutionally guaranteed. So second and third, both features will talk together now. What is jurisdiction? For example, central government has authority to make the laws regarding those 6 or means many departments are there that I told you: atomic energy, defense, railway. Only central government has authority to make the rules and regulations regarding it. State government can't give any kind of suggestion. They can give, but they can't make any law, or they can't resist it if central government make any rules regarding it. Okay. At the same time, state government also has some authority. State level education means, as you know, education in Maharashtra, both kind of education you can get: CBSE, central government education, and state board education. So regarding state board education, central government can't make, or regarding police department, central government can't make any law. So sometime it may happen that central government thinks that we will make the rules and regulations for the police department. So is it possible? If there is a majority of a political party in central government and they think, as we are in majority, so we can make any rule and regulation. So is it possible for the central government to make the laws about the police department in state government or in any state? So it's not possible. Why? Because these are not the wordings of a political leader. It is a constitutionally guaranteed. In constitution, we have given these departments. Okay. So it is a constitutionally guaranteed and it is not easy to change that. There is a fundamental provision of constitution which is changed by consent of both tiers. Fundamental provisions of constitution. You know very well that by amendment you can bring some changes in our constitution. You can change the constitution, but definitely we have some procedure for that. It is not easy. We need kind of certain majority for that to change any law, but it is possible. But the basic nature of our constitution we can't change. For example, when we talk about the preamble, when we say preamble in our school, then those 5 golden words come in that: socialist, republic, democratic, secular, and which is that 5th word? I'm not getting now. Just find it out. Okay. So those 5 words. But you know, early. So this is the basic nature of Indian society, Indian constitution. So you can't change it. Means you can change the laws, but if any law goes against the secularism of India, or we can say democracy of India, democratic word it is. If it goes against the democracy of India, then it will not be accepted. Chalo. But I will I would like to tell you one fact about it. You just find more details about it. In these 5 words, there are 2 words which were not added by Baba Saheb Ambedkar. 5 words are there, as I told you. In these 5 words, only 3 words were written in 1950. Means 2 words are such which were added afterwards in 1977 or 76 after emergency. Which were those 2 words? Just find it out and let me know. Okay, chalo fine. Let's move forward. So fundamental provisions of the constitution you can't change, and if there is necessity to change them, then you have to take the consent of both tiers, central government and state government. Then courts has a big authority. Sometimes it may happen that people will play with the wordings of constitution. In courts, you might have seen this. In many movies, the people by word itself try to interpret the law. So sometimes they manipulate the meaning of the law. And here, if that word is manipulated by someone, then court has right to interpret the meaning of that law. If we are taking the wrong meaning of that law, then it is the duty of court to interpret exactly what is the meaning of that law, what is the meaning of word there. That is the authority of courts. So the courts have the power to interpret the constitution and the powers of different levels of government. Then all the tiers, first that is central, state and Panchayati Raj, we have given them authority or their special autonomy, financial autonomy. Means here you can take the tax, means state will take the tax from this department and central government will takes the tax from this department. So we have divided it. So financial autonomy we have given to Panchayati Raj also and state government also. Then the most important thing is we have dual objective to safeguard. Means with the federalism we have dual objective. First, by federalism we safeguard the unity. Just imagine, in India there is no federalism, then what will happen? There will be disintegration of India. How? All states will say, if we have to listen to Delhi only, the central government only, and if we don't have any participation in that, then why should we listen to you? We will form our own nation. Then Maharashtra will be separate, Tamil Nadu will be separate, whole South India will be separate, Assam will be separate. Okay, so federalism safeguards. Federalism keeps such a big country together like India. So it safeguards the unity, and second, it promotes the unity. By federalism says that though we have variety, though we are having diversity in our ethnicity, in our language, in our attire, in our many things, but still we can live together by using federalism. So it promotes the unity. So in this way, these are the 7 features of federalism. So by only one word you will come to know. So I have made those letters in bold. Those letters are in bold. You can see levels, jurisdiction, constitutionally guaranteed, fundamental provisions of constitution, then courts, financial autonomy, and safeguard and promote unity. So these are key features of federalism. Now we'll talk about 2 types of federalism. If you see around yourself, if you see around the world, you will come to know the word. Many countries they follow holding together federalism, and many countries they follow coming together federalism. So first, what is the difference between coming together federalism and holding together federalism? Let's talk about it. When we are talking about coming together federalism, just keep America in front of you, USA in front of you, then you will understand it very easily. Which country follow which kind of federalism? It depends upon their historical background, social background, cultural background, and financial background. So when we talk about USA, earlier, as you know, all the many people from England, they came to America, USA, and there they started their trade, merchant, okay, means business. So different businessmen, they came there, they formed their own colonies there, 13 colonies were there earlier. Okay, so these colonies afterward thought, means afterwards, after independence of America, after that battle, after that war, they thought that we will come together and will make one bigger unit. So all these 13 colonies, they came together and formed United States of America. Why to come together? To increase security. Because means one state will not invade other. So the security will be increased, and pooling sovereignty. We will keep the identity of everyone intact. Means if 13 colonies or many states, if they are coming together, we will not invade each other. We will not say that only if this is the language spoken in our area, so it should be implemented everywhere in this country. It's not like that. You can keep your identity with you. Then third, all constituent states have equal power. Equal power. In holding together federalism, it's not like so. USA, Switzerland, Australia is an example of that. Okay. Then when we talk about holding together, now keep India in front of you. When we got independence, at that time, you know very well, there were 562 or 65 states, which means India was divided in such a small units. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel integrated them, and he gifted us integrated India. So you can see now we have only 29 states, but that also we divided afterwards. But at that time, there were these many states. So to maintain our sovereignty, to maintain our integrity, he brought all those states together, all those states units together, okay, and constitutional units. So in such a system, in holding together system, central government is powerful vis-a-vis the states. And in holding together federalism, constituent units of federation have unequal powers. Means state government, it has less power than union government. So India, Spain and Belgium is the example of that. So I hope till here everything is clear to you. Still, if you have any question, you are free to ask. The next part of this lesson we will see in our next lecture. Till then, thank you so much. Have a nice day.